I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. I am not of this world. When they see me coming, most people turn around and start to running because they find it strange. I speak another language because I was abducted by the God that changes the old man into a new creature. Don't mess with men in black because they try to heat you with this thing called temptation. Have you go into a world called damnation? And on this earth there's a lot of us. I am not alone. Bunch of ETs waiting on the phone home. And when the call's answered, we gone in the rapture. Warp speed, faster than the Enterprise can catch us. Don't call no Will Smith, he cannot save the day. Jesus set me free. Independence Day. And if you wanna know which world I come from, it's not on the map, but it's near the sun. I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien.
I'm a foreigner, a visitor, a stranger to this earth. I made my journey here by the way of second birth. Not through the womb, but by His Spirit and His grace. Transform me from within because I'm from another place. Metamorphosis, mutations, He made modifications. He changed me from within and created alterations. Emerged and reborn my human form as an illusions. The only thing close to proof of evolution. This body will decay, I'm a temporary resident. My soul is eternal, separated from the elements. I've mutated, I'm a stranger, I'm a new man. A traveler and a tourist to this crazy land. You cross a path with some creatures from another place. And if you ask us how we got here, we will say by grace. We're not the type you think that fly around in spaceships. We follow Christ and unlike them we really exist.
I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. I am not of this world that we live in. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien. Alienated. That makes me an alien.
Six senses like the spiritual scientist. I'm more like the alchemist. It's like working on your consciousness. Star nations are against the cabal. Intergalactic wars and solar signs from Venus, Saturn to Mars. The upgrades of humanoids, 11 universal laws, 7 human seeds with terrestrial genes. Biological feelings created in golden eagle. 0-point energy Gaia theory when I start my sequel. The Eisenhower counters of the watches. It's simple like ambient energy fields. Enduring Tesla shields. Indigo, crystalline seeds. ADD, attention deficit disorders, really not a disease. Arrow pills and arrow my outlets. Idol doctrines is Babylon is when I start my topic. The star keeps a command. The star scholars, Darwinism, evolution of the fossil resin, giving man confusion. I think they're here trying to help to provide some protection against the planets that consist in Orion's belt. Mechanical movement from grays, space suits from the demons to make travel through domains in space. Will I left them behind and convicted in the grind. The justice of mortal sins, the path to break the paradigm. Moving in a danger age of lifetime. Crystal superstar seeds are made up from evil scientists. I gotta expect academy, close encounter, cultural therapists. Engineering, genetics, really not helping this. Now we all stand up and stand. To the globe, to the world, universe, we are the astral command.
Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Who is the master of disaster being your channeling? He speaks of peace by removing all duality. Aligns himself with astrology satanically. He mimics truth to attribute lies to prophecy. There's no consistency except with demonology. These your philosophies or alien technologies. Study the names and the symbols that they're borrowing. They're all just following an ancient masquerade. Like Rael and Billy Meyer and the dead from Heaven's Gate. Examine all the plans from the Ashtar command. They demand evolution and ascension of man. These fallen angels are the masters of deception. They teach enlightenment from dark evil dimensions. They'll claim the rapture is a mass evacuation. Aquarian, 2012 reptilian invasion. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace.
A renegade searching for the way, for the place. Time travel through the space. Where's the gate? No delays. Turn the key. Vortex energy faster than a rocket shooting up the sky. Are we finally free? Can't breathe. First responders last. Of the breeze surviving 9/11. It was definitely an inside job. If you think that I'm wrong, that's only because you're scared. Walking like a robot, taking orders, dead stare. Twin towers building 7 sacrificial side pillars, opening a portal, ritualistic death on sight. Astronauts have been taking pictures of the rise. Could you believe they had it all planned right on time? We need to realize and be aware of the fact those running this planet came from another track. Secret societies, shape-shifting snakes, invading, enslaving, microchip, killing our race. Ya basta, ya no mas. The fight is on, battle of the minds. Who'd have thought this is our song? Revolutionary, evolutionary times. Read about it, be about it, write about it, dream about it. Full steam ahead, all engines go, uniting the world, rescuing every single soul. It's never too late to take back what we own, what we've been given since our birthday.
Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace. Take me to your leader, take me to your leader. Take me to your leader, then I'll tell you if I come in peace.
The bones begin to transition from dry and scattered, surrounded by desert and the aftermath of evil, to gathering together bone to bone, each one to its own. Just like the tendons and sinew and muscles begin to wrap around, beauty rose from the ashes of sin, his bride. Knowing her worth and value and authority and purpose, as individuals they worked with an intricacy that our physical minds cannot comprehend, each piece playing a rhythm uniquely its own. As the masterpiece of God's sovereignty began to be seen in all of its glory, the righteousness of God, abiding in Christ and clothed in power, she arose like a lioness walking down the aisle to marry for all of eternity her king. The purest of gold rising from the purifying fire from heaven without even the smell of smoke. Like a garden carefully tended, the desert around those living bones began to sprout the most beautiful flowers, a splendid array of God's love lavished on his creation. Out of the heart arose a garden so beautiful and vibrant, perfect in every way. Her full portion set in the Father's love, the Holy Spirit's power made perfect in her weakness, and setting her mind upon the Word of God. Fearless and beautiful, enveloped in grace, bestowed upon her like a veil over the face. Naked she rose out of the crystal sea, letting the freedom and love she saw before her overcome every chain and attachment. The Lord of hosts is on display. His absolute sovereignty and truth will be known.
Hello, welcome. We are live.
Yes, we are live. What's up, y'all?
And alive. Welcome.
What is good? Hey, it's two of us.
There is two of us. It's Shawn and Erin. The Shawn and Erin show.
Yes. Oh, Erin and Shawn show.
The Erin and Shawn and Erin show.
Yes, ENS. ENS. We are blessed.
Yes, we are.
Yes. How are you?
Well, so far so good. How are you?
I'm doing way better than I was, throughout the week, last week, I guess.
Less
Feeling
frustrated?
way better.
Less frustrated?
Way less frustrated. I feel a lot better. Did a lot of praying. I know you prayed for me as well.
Yeah,
But a lot of praying.
we get frustrated because people don't listen to us. People are mad that I think that Ghislaine probably didn't get arrested or go to trial. What? I have a friend that was there. Okay.
The same way you have a friend that had the snake. What do you call it? 6-foot killer.
Yes. A friend of a friend died from it. They were diagnosed. They had the PCR test, and that was clear. Anyway, we get frustrated because people get mad over silly things and don't like our opinion on the left and the right. So the Hegelian dialectic is working wonderfully.
Yes, to the T, it's working. The plan that they have is working to the T. When you look at everything that they're doing, as far as the snake bites being mandated and not being mandated, and pitting the two against each other, but at the same time, everybody wants to go back to normal. So they have a problem, and then they see the reaction, which is that. The total reaction is everybody wants to go back to normal, regardless if you're snake bitten or not. You just want to go back to normal. So there will be a solution. And we'll see it in the coming months or maybe a year. We'll see the solution. Because it's going to be what we're going to get into today. We'll show everybody that there's more coming down the road to add to all of this stuff.
But we're supposed to persevere and not get frustrated and not be worn out. We don't want to be there will be a time of the wearing of the saints, even so to be overcome. So let's not be worn out yet. Let's continue to try. And that's why I stay on Facebook, even though that's where most of the vitriol comes from when I have an opinion and somebody doesn't like it. But that's okay, because there are people, there's probably someone out there that's seeing and hearing. Maybe they're not saying anything.
And we talked about that the other day, about how we have a lot of Facebook friends that don't say anything, that can still see our posts, and we don't know how our posts are affecting them or not. We don't know that. So that's why the Bible tells us, brush it off. Keep moving.
Yeah, I think it's like kick the sand off your feet or something too.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, we're not Bible scholars. Just remember that. We don't have it all memorized. So what we did have planned to discuss was first I wanted to, am I still sharing my screen with you? You can see, right?
Yes, I see, yes.
Okay. First I was going to pull this up. I know everybody's seen this. We're not teaching anybody new with this one. But I found it I thought it would be something we could discuss on here because we haven't yet, that the Brandon administration is saying that those of us who have not been snake bitten are going to have severe illness and death. And I don't know, how you feeling so far? Severely ill, or have you died, or what's going on?
Well, I found the answer to that. If you do have any type of stuffiness, congestion, just go eat some Indian food. For me, that was my snake bite, because it cleared me right out. If I had any type of congestion, I can breathe freely now. I don't know. No, I don't have any symptoms or anything like that. And if I did, it's normal symptoms that you would get, this time of year, regular cold stuff. And that's what everybody is getting. And then they're running out and getting tested. And then they're saying that they got the 6-foot killer Macron. And, and then people are staying home and losing money on their job. It's like 6 or 7 people at my job that had to stay home for 5 days because they got tested because they had colds.
That's another one I didn't pull up, but they only have to stay home for 5 days now. That makes total sense, right?
Right, because before it was, 14 days, wasn't it?
It was 14 days, but now you only have to stay home for 5, and you can get right back to work. And you don't have they're saying now no more PCR testing.
Oh, I didn't hear that part.
Well, the CDC is saying that their emergency authorization or something for it is over as of January 1st, and they're recommending that you don't have to test to go to work, but if you do test, it's only 5 days now instead of 14. That makes a lot of sense. Do you think they're going to change that in Australia, where they're making them quarantine for 14 and charging them $5,000 to do it?
No, and you know the thing that's funny is in the NFL, the National Football League, they did the same thing. They changed all the rules because they couldn't field teams anymore because people were coming down with colds, like we always do, and they claimed it was Optimicronius Maximus, whatever I'm calling it. What I call it last time, 6 foot kilomicron.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so they claimed it was that. So then, I mean, it's like 20 players almost for each team couldn't play. So, oh, wait a minute, we can't have that because then we'll lose money if we don't have the game. So they relaxed all the requirements, just like to see the cat, I guess we'll call it, right? We can't say, can we say them letters on here?
I already did.
I know.
So.
She meant something different. Priestess of YouTube.
And Facebook, because we're live on Facebook, Twitch, and DLive as well.
Yes. She didn't mean that. Okay, don't hurt us. We're nice people.
Yeah, Hammer, don't hurt them. So anyway, our families are also gonna. This is a way to get around all of us that have been saying, well, it's been 2 years and I haven't gotten ill with anything, which I have had colds. That's all I've had, sinus infection, that kind of thing, which is nothing different than any other year. So I'm not scared enough to go in and do any testing because I know the test. That's another thing people get upset with me about is I'll say, you can't even prove it exists because the NIH themselves says, well, you'll get a false positive if you're infected with any other crown virus. So if you're infected with any other virus that's similar to this one, which tells you that it's not novel, then you can test positive. So that tells me that they can't even, there's no way to test for it. And if there's no way to test for it, does it even exist? Well, probably not. If they're able to get you out to have cold symptoms to go get tested, which they're doing, they've gotten people, they're testing all over again, and they get mad when you say there isn't such a thing. In fact, I was massively insulted yesterday and told that just because I have two hands, anyone with two hands can type. And that's where my research came from, apparently, is just having two hands and being able to type. So I'm like, okay, well, you must know because you were in the medical field for 10 years, or was I?
It's very disheartening. I think this is why we get frustrated a lot, because people just can't understand what we're trying to tell them. Like I said to my coworkers yesterday, they were all talking about who got the 6 foot kilomicron and how they got tested for it and all the whole shebang, And I was like, what would y'all say? What would these people that got tested, would they have gotten tested 5 years ago for the same symptoms that they had? So if you had these symptoms that you have right now 5 years ago, you wouldn't go get tested for 6 foot kilomicron. You would just have a cold and go to work and blow your nose and go home, drink some orange juice and just live. So what is different from then now? It's just that they put a name on it. Like I say, other shows, and I said it here before, they have to put a name on the boogeyman. They name the boogeyman something. So now they have somebody to blame something on. And everybody can look to that boogeyman and say, that did it. That boogeyman did it.
Yep. So anyway, this is a way to get around, like, well, I haven't gotten sick yet. Well, you're going to have severe illness and die. So there. Just remember that. And also wanted to show this one. This guy says that these two, the omnicron or whatever we call it, and the triangle will strike at the same time and combine forces to create even worse COVID variant in the coming weeks. Guess who said it? The boss of Modernacon.
Did he get taken off of Twitter?
No, the guy that created the mRNA vaccine did.
Okay. I thought I heard that somewhere.
The guy that created it, who says don't get it, he got taken off of Twitter. I can't remember his name. Somebody's going to probably tell us in the chat. Dr. something. Yeah. Malone, maybe? Anyway. But this guy he's obviously going to make money off of this. And remind us who else said that we need a new jab for this variant?
a guy by the name, I think he was a Republican man, named Rand Paul.
That's right.
Yes.
Yep. Rand Paul and Donald J. Trump really like the Jabos.
Yes.
If you don't believe me, just ask me.
Yeah, Rand said that himself. That first, Rand said that everybody needs to get it, and he said they already have it made. This is when 6 foot killer Optimicron came out. Well, first was founded, whatever, or discovered, whatever they want to call it. He said they already have the snake bite for it already. So why don't they just release it? I think didn't we play that interview on here a couple weeks ago?
Yes, so you guys can refer back to one of our news talks. It probably has been a couple weeks because I think it was when we were on YouTube. If not, it was on our Odyssey, on the Odyssey channel. So I will drop the link for the Odyssey as well. But yeah, we played a lot of that where he says the Jabo was good. It worked really well. That was Rand Paul who said it. We also have Donald Trump saying that the Jabo has been a miracle for humanity, and nobody pushing back on that. People get really mad when I mention that too. Do you know what somebody told me? Well, he didn't get the same one. He had a different one. Well, then why is he pushing the one that I can't get the different one? I got to get what everybody else is getting. So if he's pushing it, and I go, well, he would know. So I like him. I'm going to do what Donald Trump tells me to do. Well, I can't go get the different jab that he supposedly got.
But you know that falls in line with Obamacare, how they force that on everybody, but Congress doesn't have to have that. They get a whole different health insurance than we get.
Well, and I don't think anyone at the cat center has to get the jab to go to work. So.
Right, that's another thing. Remember that was asked of her. Do you remember? Did you see that?
And she's like, they asked her how many people have. And she's like, oh, I couldn't possibly say. And she also came out and said something else recently. See, this is why I need to just be putting all this stuff in our Discord server, which I'll drop a link to if you guys want to join the Discord server. This is a place of chat. It's not video. You don't have to... You can come in here and just lurk, or you can be a part of the conversation. But we will drop a lot of these articles in there. But she was saying something different. Now, I don't know. She had something she came out with. Maybe recently, it's in my news. Huh?
Recently, right?
Yeah, something different about...
Yeah.
I can't
remember, but I heard it.
But anyway, in case anyone is wondering if Trump really did say all that, here is a video on that I'll share. And if you don't like Brian, you can go find the video somewhere else, but it's the interview with Candace Owens where he brags about his his jab and it being a miracle to humanity, and she doesn't push back at all. In fact, she redirects the questioning to masks and they get to move on.
Yeah, and you can hear JoJo endorsing Trump for once, saying he did it. He got his snake bite booster.
That's right. Now they're buddies. He's like, we don't agree on much, but that we do agree on. So now they're buddies again. So there you go. As long as he's on the same side of the Jabo. Again, two wings of the same bird. I know you have a different way. I'm sure you're going to say it.
No, I will not say it because you don't like it.
Well, we know that there probably isn't a 6 foot killer that really exists. So we do know that there's a medication that will kill you if you get put in the hospital. And that starts with a rim and ends with the middle is D and ends with Zavir. So
it's a Santa Claus reindeer's Zavir.
Yeah, if you take that, you could die and get put on a vent, or get put on a vent and die. So this might be a way that they're covering that. New Zealand allows euthanasia for some of these crown 6 foot killer patients in some circumstances. So let's read what it says. New Zealand's Ministry of Health has confirmed that patients suffering from the Wuhan 6 foot killer could be eligible for a right to lethal injection under the nation's new euthanasia law. The End of Life Choice Act in 2019, which came into force last month, was enacted to give persons who have a terminal illness and who meet certain criteria the option of lawfully I doubt that's anything lawful about that. Lawfully requesting medical assistance to end their lives and to establish a lawful process for assisting eligible persons who exercise that option. End quote. The Health Ministry responded to a request for clarification regarding provisions of the Act, declaring that in some circumstances, a person with the 6-foot killer may be eligible for assisted dying. The Catholic Herald is reporting. Those Catholics, they're so sweet. The request for clarification under New Zealand's Official Information Act came from Henoch Kloosterbauer, editor of the anti-euthanasia website called The Defender, and was worded as follows, quote, could a patient who is severely hospitalized with a 6-foot killer potentially be eligible for assisted suicide or euthanasia under the Act if a health practitioner viewed their prognosis as less than 6 months, end quote. And the Ministry of Health said that the determination of eligibility is made by medical personnel, so the doctor gets to decide, just like with the babies that they want to kill. Is made by medical personnel. Don't trust these white coats. They don't care about you guys. They will kill you. Straight up kill you. They will give you the drug that kills you. They will put you on the vent that kills you. It could include a person suffering from this 6-foot killer. Its official response reads, there are clear eligibility, that's a hard word when you have braces, criteria for assisted dying. These include that a person must have a terminal illness that is likely to end their life within 6 months. The terminal illness is most often a prolonged disease where treatment is not effective. Okay, because they're admitting their treatment is not effective, I guess, right?
You just said that.
It said where treatment is not effective. So the reindeernizavir is not effective. So this act states that eligibility is determined by the attending medical practitioner in the white coat that doesn't care about you, and the independent medical practitioner who also wears a white coat and was indoctrinated to kill you. Eligibility is determined on a case-by-case basis. Therefore, the ministry cannot make definitive statements about who is eligible, so they get to leave it very gray. Get to leave that very gray. So your doctor can choose to end your life, which they've already chosen to once you walked in the door and they tested you. So there you go. Walk in the door, they test you. What you got to say, Shawn?
How many people have we heard this? These stories about when their relatives go into the hospital. And remember, I think it was definitely last year, when you weren't allowed to go into the hospital to visit your relatives, and people were dying. I had a friend of mine that died this way, and I still think about it now. I coached football with him. Mark Schuler was his name, and I remember his wife posted on Facebook how that she can't go visit him. They won't let her go visit because the 6-foot killer was floating around. And they weren't allowed into the hospital to see him, and they were FaceTiming him on his little iPad and all that stuff. And how insensitive is that? You know, this man had whatever he had, but it wasn't 6-foot killer that got him, which we found out eventually. But he died, and he couldn't have his family around him to help give him encouragement. You need that when you're in the hospital on your deathbed. You need your family there. You can't FaceTime them. It's not the same. It's not the same as having your wife there holding your hand, or your husband there holding your hand, and your kids there, and people praying for you, and just spending time with you. It gives you more of a reason to live. It makes you want to fight more. And that's exactly what's happening here.
And the same goes for people in the nursing homes. So will this be, I know this is in New Zealand, and it's not in the whole world necessarily, but will this be for people in the nursing homes too? They'll be like, well, we can just, do with the kill. What was it called with Obama's kill list? Is that what it's called?
Obama's kill list. That's what I call it. Yes.
I doubt he called it that, but
No, it was.
I can't remember what he called it. It had to do with euthanasia. That was in one of his health care bills as well. If y'all didn't know it, it was in Obamacare that euthanasia, where you could, let the old people go because they're not worth living, because they can't, they don't have any quality to give. Any, what can they do? They can't do anything, so just let them die.
I think the age was like only 65. My parents are 76, and I can't imagine. They're healthy. They get around, they drive, their mental state is perfectly capable. So why in the heck would I be like, well, if I could, now here's the thing is I don't think you should go to a hospital at all if you can take care of things from home as much as possible. Get as much natural herbal stuff, humidifiers, get out in the sun, vitamin C, all that stuff that we already know we can do ourselves. So you do that as much as possible. So really try to avoid the hospital period because they're going to try to kill you. But if I took my parents to the hospital for something and then they said, sorry, they're 76, so we're not going to do anything for them. If they had the means to treat them. But I'm kind of at a point where they don't really have the means to treat them anyway. They're probably going to just kill them. They're going to say, we did everything we could.
Yeah, and that's happened.
Yeah, they have cancer. Let's kill them. Let's kill them with chemo.
Because they can't. They have no contribution to society anymore, is what they say. They can't contribute to society. They're just old. They're just sucking up resources. You hear that a lot too. They're just sucking up resources. They're just getting Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare and just sucking up resources that we can let them go and save money. That's what the whole Obamacare thing was all about too. That's why they had that euthanasia part in there. That's why they talk about putting everything into a digital system, which is also part of the mark, of the beast, of course. My uncle died the same way. They said he had 6-foot killer, which he didn't. And then he was already on his deathbed when he went down to live with my mom. She was trying to nurse him back to health, ended up taking him to the hospital, and he ended up going like that. They wanted to take him to a hospital 60 miles away from her so that she couldn't go see him. And she said, no. Well, we can give him better care at a hospital 60 miles away. She was like, just bring him home. I'll just take care of him there. But he ended up dying in the hospital before she can get him out. But and like you were saying, my dad is 70, probably as old as your dad, 75, 76 or something. He still works. He's still out there moving furniture and stuff like that. He can still contribute to society. My mom still gets around. She can't drive as much as she used to, but she still gets around and does what she has to do. So this whole euthanasia thing is a bunch of bull. But that's what we see happening. It goes both ways. It happens from abortion from one end to the other end.
I was going to say that because they want to be able to give you the option to kill your child up to 2 years of age if there's a failure to thrive. And guess probably who decides that? Your medical provider. Oh, it looks like they're going to die before 2. How many times have they been wrong? I just saw a post the other day from a mom that posted a picture of her daughter at like 16 years old. And she says, she was pretty far along. I don't remember how far, maybe 6 months or something. They said she was going to have a Down syndrome child that might not even make it to birth. And they said you should terminate the pregnancy. The kid's 16 and doesn't even have Down syndrome, Shawn.
Yeah, we did a show on our Blog Talk network years and years ago about abortion, and we had a couple of interviews, not that we did live, but we found where the same instances where a woman was just about to abort her baby and she changed her mind, and the nurse saved the baby, didn't let it happen, and the kid grew up and knew about it. Her mother told her about that she was about to abort her and didn't. Can you imagine that, being told that your mom's telling you that I was going to abort you, you were this close to getting killed? I just can't imagine.
Well,
I can't.
I'm sorry to anyone who would even consider abortion in the first place as a viable option. Viable, wrong word, but as an option for them to deal with their decision to have sexual intercourse and impregnate themselves. And then if you just knew how truly gruesome the procedure is, and the fact that they don't want women to see their child in the womb via an ultrasound, that they want to keep that secret, and the doctors are making boatloads of money. Planned Parenthood is making boatloads of money, and these doctors are generally, they're just in and out. They don't really watching you, and so you've got like medical, just not real nurses keeping track of these patients after the doctor leaves, and there's infection and bleeding out, and it's just the procedure is so gruesome. The procedure is horrific. What they do, they literally suck them out into a blender basically. And I'm sorry to be so graphic, but people need to know. And I remember when I was a child, I had a friend who her church showed not that graphically, but showed the children, not too young. We were not little kids. You know, we were probably getting close to junior high or something. But they would talk about abortion and explain how gruesome it was, and I was like, "Oh, that seems a bit much." Can you believe that? That's what I thought, because I grew up with my parents aren't atheists anymore. Well, they're Catholic. God help them, but I grew up in a completely atheistic household where I couldn't even believe that they would show them something like that, because I thought that was messed up. How could I think like that? Wouldn't people need to know? You know how many women don't know how far when their baby is at 6 weeks, they don't even know it has a heartbeat.
I know.
They don't know how formed these babies are. I had a friend that had an abortion 20 years ago, and we went to one of those museums where they plasticized the bodies, and they showed each stage of development in the womb. From, unfortunately, they were fetuses that they obviously got through science agreements that they plasticized it, but you could see they showed. And when she saw that, she started crying. She told me she had no idea.
I think a lot of women go through some type of psychological, breakdowns after they have these things. That's been known that they go through something. I mean, I don't know. We really should do a show on this one day. I know we talked about it. Maybe we'll do a show on this, the effects of abortion after the fact. The effects on women.
Cindy was saying, Cindy in the chat says forceps are used, they bring them out in pieces. Yes, so as you get further along, it's more and more gruesome. And we all know about that doctor that was snipping spinal cords of living babies that were, and yet, how many could be out there doing the same thing? And David says abortions are demonic offerings to Moloch. That's exactly right. The fallen angels taught it.
Yep. And another thing is, like, we talk about life in the womb, and you hear a lot of women say it's my body, my choice. That's their moniker. That's what they cry out. Well, first of all, it's not your body. It's another body inside of you that's living off you. It's like a symbiote body, living off of your nutrients and everything that you feed it. So that's one thing. But the second thing is, if it's not a life, and you guys all know I don't believe that there's Saturn and Mars and all this crazy stuff they're talking about. They're not real planets. But if that's what they say, that there's planets out there, and they say that we supposedly have rover on Mars looking around for droplets of water to find life. How is that life? And not a baby in a womb that has a heartbeat at 6 weeks old. That a baby that is conceived the very minute that the seed and the egg combine is a life. How is that life on Mars, but not life in the womb?
Yes, because that's the great deception has really already started. A strong delusion has really already started, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of satanic, we've got people have seen this, but we wanted to talk about it, that the Satanic Temple has installed the baby Baphomet display at the Illinois State Capitol, which is probably the same place where they had their statue. Yep, the statue of Baphomet, first unveiled in 2015 with the two children looking up. Mm-hmm. And then it might be the same place where they put up the tree with the snake and the apple one year. It may not be. Actually, I think that was a different place. Well, regardless, that's what they're doing, is popping up these things. And now I kind of laugh at this because I look at it and I'm like, I don't really think anyone's going to look at this and go, oh yeah, I really want to join this community. I'm not sure it's really bringing in people, but I don't know that people are seeing this and going, yeah, I want to join that. But you were saying something about equal rights.
Yeah, it's like what they're basically saying here is that they want to be able to have their baby Jesus in the Capitol along with our baby Jesus. So they want to have equal rights. And when you think about it, I mean, I don't know how many times I've said this, but it's easier. It's easy for let's take transgenders and the whole homosexual community, for instance. When somebody comes out gay or they come out as a transgender, they act like it's a big brave thing to come out and, you were brave for coming out of the closet, or you were brave for saying that you're a transgender or whatever. How is that being brave when the world already accepts that? You know, it's more brave to come out and say you're against it. If you come out and say that you're against it, you're a born again Bible believer, and you know it's not right, and God says this, you know, about homosexuality, and it's an abomination, and what you have between your legs is what you are, period. That's being brave, because you will get attacked like crazy for saying stuff like that. But to come out here and say that, you know, I'm gay, the world embraces that. So this is the same type of thing. They're not going to come out and equal rights. Equal rights would be, because first of all, they're taking down. I'm not for Christmas. You know that, Erin, and most of you guys that know me know that I don't celebrate Christmas, and it's not about Jesus. And you know it's not about Jesus because they're taking down nativity scenes. They don't want Jesus, period. The whole thing is following man's tradition. It's not about Jesus. It's just a tradition that was going on before Jesus was born. They did this stuff.
And what does the Bible say about following man's tradition?
Not to follow man's tradition. If you read, what is it, Matthew? I can't remember the exact verse. Like you say, we're not scholars. I don't have the whole Bible memorized, but I know what it says. And I believe it's in Matthew or one of those gospels where Jesus was eating with dirty hands, and the Pharisees came up to him and said, "How can you eat with dirty hands?" Him and his, disciples were eating, their hands were dirty, and they said, "How can you eat with dirty hands?" And he says, "It's not what goes into the man that defileth the man, it's what comes out of a man's heart that defileth a man." And then he talked to them about following man's vain traditions. And this is a vain tradition. What does vain mean? So if Christmas is a vain tradition, because that's what it is, because it has nothing to do with Jesus. It's not his birthday. They didn't celebrate Jesus' birthday. All throughout the Bible, you don't see anywhere where anybody celebrated Jesus' birthday. It's not about Jesus. It's a tradition that they've been doing for years and years and years, hundreds of years before Jesus was born. They did this tradition, and Christians decided that they wanted, well, fake Christians, I could say, decided that they wanted to celebrate Jesus' birthday on that day. So it was just a mix-up. But
it was Catholics that started the December 25th thing, which would make total sense, because talk about creating traditions and having, so many rituals. I mean, the rituals, and a lot of people like to refer where Paul says, "Don't judge a man according to the festivals," but that's not what he meant. If you read the whole context, he's talking about, again, in that same, it's Colossians, where he says, in that same one, he's saying, don't follow man's tradition. In the same Colossians in the same chapter,
text, in the same chapter,
he's saying that. But when he's talking about the festivals, he's not talking about creating new ones in man's tradition. He's talking about what the festivals that they followed, and they're saying, don't be afraid to stick up for what you believe in, but don't put those down that are still doing it, because that wasn't the point, was to create new traditions. The point was to celebrate the feast days the same way Jesus did. I truly believe that. Again, we're not telling you how to celebrate Christmas, and we're not condemning you if you do. We just don't, and these are the reasons that we believe it, and we get a really hard time. Again, people get angry with us when, or they assume we're Muslim, or they assume we're Seventh-day Adventists, or something that we're not. So it's very interesting the kind of frustration people have with us for our belief system and for sharing it, and for trying to show people. They get very angry about it.
We talked about that too, about how the cognitive dissonance, how you've been taught something for so long, and you believe that for so long that when somebody comes with new information, you just quick to reject it. You will not take the time to look at it. And you found that out firsthand when you posted some videos in the Discord, I believe it was in, and nobody would even watch the video about Christmas that you put on there. They didn't want to give it the time of day because they didn't want to have to change their minds. Go ahead. I know you want to say something.
No, I'm responding to Jared about the monoclonal antibodies. I don't think they'll help anything. I was just typing it up though. So you just carry on.
So yeah, you had a lot of fight back, and I've been through that. I've lost friends over this. I had friends that say, they don't want to talk to me anymore, and they unfriend me on Facebook, whatever. That doesn't bother me a bit. But all over my belief, because my belief doesn't align with theirs. It doesn't mean that we can't have an adult conversation about it or have some type of dialogue. We should be able to have dialogue about these things. And if I have information that may help somebody, to understand what the real meaning of Christmas is, then I want to show it. And the only reason we're talking about Christmas is because this picture that we see on the screen is them talking about how they have this baby Baphomet in there because they want to have equal. They have Jesus. We should be able to have this in there. That's not going to be a problem. You putting that in there is what we're saying, because that's what they want in there. They don't care about Jesus. Christmas is not about Jesus. Putting this thing into there is not about equal rights. It's about, because they're already going to have that. Satan is already in the world. He is the ruler of this world right now. So it doesn't matter, you know, the whole thing about equal rights. It takes more courage to step out and say that you're against this type of stuff than it does to say, I want this type of stuff if you're involved in that Baphomet thing. It takes more courage to say you're against it than it is to be part of it and say, I want that, you know.
Great. That's a good point, because that's what Joshua, our friend Joshua, says. He says the momentum it's hard with such momentum. There's this huge momentum with the season and the spirit of Christmas that it's hard to do anything different. It's hard to do with your family. I've got young children and it's hard because, you know, they are used to getting gifts already at their age, even though we've essentially stopped celebrating it. And I've done it slowly because they're young. I've said, okay, this is the last year we're going to have a tree. This is the last year we're going to do lights. And I did those kind of things. And I told them this year is the last year we're doing presents. And I don't do many presents. I give them 2 presents, you know, because then they actually enjoy them. When you give them 10, like my parents like to do, they just want to open the next one. They don't care about the last one. And then they forget about the gifts I got them because they got 10 more from grandma and grandpa. So it's hard because of the fact that everybody else is celebrating it. I mean, I don't live in a community of people that don't. And they think I'm crazy for not. They think well, it's fun. It's for the kids, like Halloween. It's for the kids. But
Yep.
I put up a video that went through the history of it, which I know a lot of people already know. So I'm not trying to preach to the choir. But if you just watch that and you looked at the history, I'm pretty sure it would change most people's view of how they celebrate, if they were going to celebrate at all. Just knowing how demonic that day is, for even up to today, for Satanists and witches to celebrate.
And again, that is very valid points. That it is a pagan, demonic holiday that was done before Jesus was born. This is the worship of the sun that was done before Jesus was born. It's a tradition of man, and the Bible strictly says, do not follow the traditions of man. And you get traditions like Halloween, we shouldn't follow those. Like Valentine's Day, we shouldn't follow those.
Yeah, Valentine's Day was called Lupercalia. And again, one of the biggest things they do in these original pagan holidays is orgies. That was a huge deal. And sacrifices. Human sacrifices.
Yep.
Human sacrifices and orgies.
You find that throughout all of them. You find it throughout Christmas and Saturnalia. You find it there. The Yule log, what does that represent? Mistletoe, what does that represent? Then you'll find the same thing in Halloween. Like you said, you'll find the same thing in Valentine's Day. It's all throughout these pagan religions because that's what Satan is about. You know, so it's just following traditions of man. And it's easy for Satan to get you caught up and get you worshiping him. That's all he don't care how you do it. He don't care if you think you're worshiping Jesus, you're really worshiping him. He doesn't care how you worship him. He doesn't care what you think it is, as long as you're doing it.
I think it was Jeremiah that talks about putting silver and gold on it. So I'm responding to
Jeremiah 10.
Okay,
Jeremiah
good.
10.
There you go. See, he does have some Bible verses in the locked up in there.
Yes, there are quite a few, but I don't. It's hard to reference them all. You know, a lot of times
When you need them the most is when they don't come up.
You know,
But
it says somewhere in the Bible. I had it yesterday.
I know it's in their Bible, and the good thing about the phones that we have and the internet that we have is we can just say, where in the Bible does it say this? I know what it said. I know it'll say it in the Bible, so I can just type it in or say it in my phone. I know it says it. I just can't remember where all the time, and we'll find it.
There was something I wanted to say, but I forgot what it was. Sunshine Savannah says, not sure if Regeneron is the monoclonal antibodies that Trump got. I don't I think Regeneron is a totally different medication, but I can look it up. Oh, that reminds me, in the new medication that you can take for the 6-foot killer at home, it includes ritonavir, which is an AIDS treatment.
That's the pill, right? You're talking about?
Yeah, well, they say it's a pill, but it's 2 pills. One of them is something else new, different, I think, and the other one is ritonavir, which is an AIDS treatment.
So there you go, guys.
Oh, yeah, Regeneron antibody cocktail offers FOVID protection. So I guess that it is a combination of 2 drugs that is supposed to mimic antibodies. Now I know that there are certain diseases where people get IgG treatments, which is the same idea, giving them immunity because there's they have maybe an autoimmune process or a lower immunity for some kind of disease, or maybe they're born a certain way, and so they get these kind of treatments normally. So they obviously have some kind of positive effect in people, but I don't believe this virus even exists in the first place. So what are we giving it antibodies for? I mean, if you're not immunosuppressed, you don't need them.
Right.
You don't need them if you're not immunosuppressed. It's not something you would ever need to take if you've got a natural immune system, which I hope people would.
And which we do have. God gave us that immune system to fight off whatever comes our way. And what a lot of people will say, especially nowadays, is I hear a lot of people saying, well, God put doctors on earth to give us these things. I totally disagree with that. I mean, there are doctors on earth that God has put on earth, gave them knowledge, but not the knowledge of pharmakia, not the knowledge of sorcery. I can see them, sewing stitching a cut, fixing broken bones, helping with liver transplants and things of that nature. That's knowledge that we don't have, that they learned and know how to do. But as far as, let me get your input on that. You being in the medical field, what do you think as far as that? Like, I know God has put men in those places for those reasons, but what do you think about the pharmakia part of it?
Well, we know it means sorcery, so we're indoctrinated to believe that this is good, and where would we be without it? And yet there was a time where people lived hundreds of years. So it doesn't really have anything to do with how much medicine we have. That's not really what's, modern medicine. Oh, thank God for modern medicine. Well, it hasn't done us any good. And all the side effects, which are actually effects, are, deadly most of the time, eventually. Maybe not right away, but eventually. For instance, there's several drugs that are called proton pump inhibitors that people take for acid reflux. And supposedly what they think is that they really think it's acid, which is what the protons are, that's coming up into their esophagus and possibly causing like the reflux that actually puts the acid rash in the back of your throat, or it could just be heartburn. And so people will take this proton pump inhibitor, and it helps. One thing I learned in the medical field that was part of what we learned about these meds is you weren't supposed to keep people on them long term because they cause rebound acid reflux that was worse than what they had before they started taking it. So you're supposed to do it for 2 weeks at a time and then stop. But people were on them forever. Guess what else one of the side effects is to that drug, Shawn?
What's that?
Choking. Choking and not, literally not being able to swallow your food. I found out firsthand because I was taking it. And I choked one day, thought I was going to die. My mom chokes on a regular basis. She won't stop taking it because when she tries to stop taking hers, I stopped taking it. When I found out that choking was a side effect, I was like, what? I didn't learn that in the medical field. I learned that when I choked, and my mom said, my mom also in the medical field for years and years, decades. My sister also in the medical field, totally indoctrinated though. Not my mom, my sister. But my mom said, well, that's one of the side effects. I said, well, I'm quitting. Well, she can't. Every time she tries to stop taking it, she vomits. She can't sleep. I mean, this is a drug that's supposed to, thanks God for modern medicine. It's supposed to stop this acid reflux that can cause stricture in people, and so that stricture can cause so you can't swallow. And then you got to go in with a balloon and they stretch it out and all this stuff. Well, that's what this drug was supposed to help. Instead, it actually causes the choking. So what I did, Sunshine says that she's on one. I started taking it every other day and then every 3 days, and then kind of was able to just stop after that. It was horrible. It was horrible to try to stop taking that. I had definitely rebound acid reflux.
What would be the natural way to cure that?
Or just to let your body fix? Like, how's that work?
Yeah, I'd have to look into it because I didn't really need to turn to anything natural because I just slowly got off of it and I don't have it to the point where I suffer from it anymore. But one would definitely be weight loss. If you're overweight, you need to lose weight. I don't think it truly is acid buildup in your stomach, so I'm not sure that taking antacids is a good idea because, again, it's pharmacology. But, you know, there's apple cider vinegar is supposed to help. Pickle juice is supposed to help. I don't get it to the point where I need anything, so I haven't done the research on it, but it wouldn't take long.
Well, I think my dad had something similar to that, and my mom would have him drink the apple cider vinegar, like you said, and she said that worked for him. But you know, everybody's body's different, so there's like doctors will come and you go to a doctor's office for one ailment, and they would just go to your chart and say, okay, here's the ailment, here's the treatment, and then come back to you and say, here's what you get. But my body might be different from your body's, which it is, so it might react differently to the treatment that they give us. But like you said, the apple cider vinegar seemed to work for my dad pretty well. Other
recommendations from the chat: raw honey, baking soda, the vinegar again. So fasting can help sometimes. So we're getting a lot of good feedback from the chat about other things that you can do. And then that's just one instance. I can give a personal testimony to that. Coming from the medical field, what I believed it did, I worked in GI medicine and liver disease. I treated GI patients and liver patients in my first job as a PA. And so that is one of the things everybody was on in there. Everybody was on them. Just throw them on and let them go, and they keep taking them for years, and nobody keeps track and only does the 2-week thing. Taking Back Eden says Dr. Sebi food list. That's probably a good list. Dr. Sebi, who has died prematurely, trying to treat AIDS. Tree Mister says baking soda and vinegar mixed together. Canadian bitters. I don't know what ACV is, Jennifer. You can let me know what ACV is.
Apple cider vinegar.
Oh, yeah. So Canadian bitters, apple cider vinegar. So it seems like the vinegar is the biggest one that helps. So, but yeah, I have. So just so people know, I am a medical professional, but I'm an indoctrinated one, right? I'm learning how to unindoctrinate myself and deprogram myself. But I worked in GI and liver disease. I treated people with cirrhosis, liver cancer, and GI issues. Then I went on to work in internal medicine, so it was more broad, which GI is internal medicine, but it's very specific. Then I worked in general internal medicine and urgent care, and ultimately also worked in pain management, which was basically like detective work on a regular basis. So when people insult me and say I've got 2 hands that know how to type, I do have a pretty significant background in medicine, and I was an EMT before that. I was the only healthcare provider in my urgent care that could start IVs. Even the doctors couldn't do it. And I'm not bragging because I was indoctrinated. I'm telling you guys that I believed things that weren't true about medicine, and I'm having to relearn all that stuff. So I appreciate that there are people in here that are giving us advice on natural remedies, because we'll take it. We're happy to hear everybody's what works for them, what helps them, especially if we can get as natural as possible, because even though we can find quinine in tonic water, maybe there's an even more natural way of getting quinine from hydroxychloroquine, that kind of treatment, or ivermectin that comes from some kind of fungus. Maybe there's a more natural way than taking ivermectin, because that's still big pharma. It's not big pharma, Erin. It only costs $1. Well, it didn't always cost $1, and it came from pharmacology. It's still the same thing. So
that goes back to what you said earlier about how you've been indoctrinated, and doctors are all indoctrinated into the same type of fields, into the same thing. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about how you go into a doctor's office with symptoms, and they look at your symptoms and they go to a chart and they say, this is the symptoms and this is the treatment, and everybody gets the same treatment. So, and it can't, what works for you, like you said, what works for you might not work for me. So you can't give everybody the same treatment. And I think doctors have a moral obligation, instead of trying to fix ailments, teach people how not to have ailments. I think that goes back to this whole snake bite, the whole mandate thing. You see, it all comes back full circle. Instead of trying to give people, let's say this whole 6-foot killer is real. How about instead of trying to get people snake bites so they can fight off the 6-foot killer, how about we do something so that we don't get the 6-foot killer naturally? How about we eat right? How about instead of going to McDonald's to eat, we don't eat McDonald's foods? That's something that can lower our immune system. How about we do the things that are right for our bodies? How about the government say, we do really care about you and we'll do good things for you. We'll make sure that you have good food accessible and not just accessible, but also economically accessible, where you can afford to have the good foods. And we can afford to give you organic food if there is an organic food. You can have fresh fruits for a cheaper price than you pay now. Why don't they do that? Why don't they do stuff like that? Why don't they try to help us live healthier? You don't have to force us to live healthier, but give us the options to buy these things, at a cheaper price than we do now. Why isn't that part of it? If this whole 6-foot killer is real, we could have healthier bodies with stronger immune systems that will stop the 6-foot killer instead of just going out and get the instant drug. The instant, here, just take this. And we know it doesn't work. We see it's not working. You're getting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these things. It's not working because there's nothing to work. It's nothing. Bottom line, it's not working on anything except you. It's not there for anything but to change you.
I want to read David Morgan's comment, and he says, unfortunately, by the way, I think I've said this before. I think David's been here. There's a very well-known David Morgan in the gold and silver industry who owns a big gold and silver company. Anyway, unfortunately, a lot of people in the medical community are afraid to lose their licenses that they worked so hard for. A lot of the treatments deal with drugs which come from the drug company. They are very afraid to lose their license. So when, no secret, don't care, you can look me up. It's very inaccurate. If you look up my history as a PA in Arizona, you can go to the Arizona Medical Board, look me up by Erin Lane Moffat, PA, and you can see that I have quite a rap sheet as a healthcare provider.
A rap sheet.
I do. Anyway, a lot of it's not accurate and not true. And I've gone to the medical board and I've asked them to change some of the stuff that this physician, when you get into trouble as a medical provider, you have to be under supervision of a physician, and it's the one guy, or is it like 2 guys? And so it's a total monopoly. They could charge me $1,000 a month to keep my license, had to do drug urine testing and all these things. Anyway, when I went to and then you were required to do, I think, weekly meetings. I can't remember because it's been so long. But I think it was weekly meetings that I had to go to with these other PAs and physicians. And there was a guy as a PA that took a job for $25 an hour when I was making $50, because he was so damaged by being on probation, so scared that he couldn't do anything else. You know what I did when my probation initially started? I thought the same thing. I can't do anything else. This is what I went to school for. I have a master's degree. I owe $100,000 for this degree. I can't do anything else. And somebody's like, maybe you need to go be a coffee barista. And I was like, oh, knowing what I did? I went back and worked as a waitress in fine dining and made just almost as much money.
Wow.
Almost as much money an hour. I made almost $40 an hour in fine dining.
Wow.
Because of the tips. So it's like, you can do something else. And that's what I wanted. I hope that we can urge people, if you're in some kind of profession, you don't have to only do that profession. We can help you. We've done it. Shawn and I, we do whatever we got to do. And that's legal and lawful.
Yeah, well, and for me, when it was unlawful.
Well, there was a time for him. But there are
I'm not saying I do that now. Of course you know that.
There are many other things that you can do. You are not only, you're not beholden to one job that you were trained to do. So you can get out of it. I dropped my license 8 years ago. A lot of it was that probation. It was obnoxious. That doctor was horrible. I've gone up to the board. I even tried to get a lawyer. The lawyer said, you're fighting an uphill battle because the board's going to listen to whatever this guy says. They've since gotten rid of him because he's been such a problem. But this guy was getting $1,000 a month off of PAs and doctors just to keep their licenses. And some of these guys did hardcore stuff. If you want to know what I did, I wrote a prescription that I shouldn't have written for too long of a period. For 30 days, I was supposed to write it for 14 days. It was a Schedule II non-narcotic drug for Adderall. And I took it because I had an eating disorder. So I got caught not because I took the drug, but because I wrote too long of a prescription.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, that's a whole nother story for another time, and I'm fully healed from that eating disorder. But the point is there were guys in there that were shooting up, what is that stuff they give them in the anesthesia? Propofol. There was a doctor in there that was shooting up propofol. There was a guy in there that was taking Ambien and drinking. I mean, there was some. There was just a guy in there that had smoked marijuana and they tested positive at some point during some. Anyway, it's insane what that guy was making off of people, complete monopoly. So when my husband died, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not keeping up with this medical license. I'm not keeping up with this doctor that wants me to pay $1,000 a month. I'm done with it. And I thought about going back. I even went up against the board, sent them a whole bunch of information why I think they should delete most of that stuff that they've talked about me. They didn't talk about me. It looks like legal documentation, but it's really not. But it's all typed up like a legal document about basically that doctor's one-sided story of what he believes I was up to. And then they post it and it's public and anybody can see it. And I've said, I think you should take this down for these reasons. They obviously got rid of him because he's corrupt. They've obviously, they found somebody that now only charges $250 a month for the same thing. But I never got a response and all that stuff's still up. So I guess they never got my letter or whatever. I couldn't care less anymore. I don't want to go back to medicine. I wouldn't even if they dropped everything off of there and said, oh, we understand, Erin, that guy was wrong. We'll take everything off of your profile. I wouldn't do it even if they did that. There's no way I'd go back. And you know what people say is, how can you do that? You went to all that school. You know why? Because I can do other things. I don't have to be a PA. I can do gold and silver. I can get into crypto. I could do what you do with the businesses and cleaning, and I can do I do landscaping, things like that, physical work that keeps me fit. Anyway, I'm going on and on, all that to say, you don't need to do one job.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. The landscaping and all that all fits into what I do as far as the cleaning business. We can do all that. I do parking lots. We go out and dump like CVS parking lots. We dump the trash. We clean the parking lots. People leave trash all over the place. So we go sweep up the trash, dump the trash cans, clean up the bushes. We do all that stuff. I mean, so there's plenty of work, plenty of ways for you, because people don't want to do stuff. As with my businesses, with my cleaning business, I don't have to go out and hustle my business. Not often. Every now and then I'll go out and I'll see a building. I'll say I want to clean this building, and I'll go in and present myself and give them my card and business and my whole business view and all that. But most of the time, these businesses come to me. They call me up and they say, yeah, we need cleaning service. Or with my driving business, my iDrive business, they'll call me and say, we need drivers. Can you? I just have people call me all the time for that. Can you send me a driver here and send me a driver there? I need to get a ride. These are people that need stuff. There's always a need for somebody that somebody needs. Somebody always needs something. If you can find, the way I always thought about it, if I could find a profession where people need me and I don't have to go out there and find them, they just come to me, that works great. I don't have to really hustle myself or sell myself. I maybe have to do that one time. And once they see the product, they tell their other friends, and they tell their friends, they tell their friends. And then everybody's coming to me because I'm the best in town. When it comes to my iDrive business, I don't have it running as I used to because of the 6-foot killer. So I kind of shut that down a little bit. But when it was up and running, nobody used Uber. I had my own app for this. So they used my app. They didn't use Uber around here. I had this whole city on lock from Uber Eats. We did food deliveries. We did Walmart deliveries, Target deliveries, whatever. We delivered stuff like that, and we also drove people around. So I've seen in this neighborhood that there was a need for people to get around, and I exploited that. And it's the same thing with the cleaning business. Now, and the same thing with the crypto. People are going to need crypto. People are going to need these things. So, I mean, this is the next wave. This is it. And if your job is requiring you to get a snake bite or tested every week, we have a solution for that. You can tell them about it. Erin?
Oh, well, yes. I wasn't even prepared for that.
I know you weren't, but I said we're right into it, didn't I?
Yes, you did. We have, so right now one of the businesses I do besides gold, silver, besides the landscaping and stuff like that, which is funny because my family members are interesting. They don't respect that I do stuff online to earn income. They only respect the measly income I get with the landscaping, which is something I don't even really love to do a lot because it's not fun landscaping. It's painfully physical landscaping. But you're right, the word of mouth thing is huge. I do this work for my landlord, and then my neighbor sees that I'm doing it, gives me a call. He's like, he sees me carrying this stuff around in my truck. He's like, oh, I see that you're doing the landscaping stuff. Can you do this for my mom or do this for, yeah. So, and she pays me really good. Anyway, but what we also do is the online scenario, which is cryptocurrency, and it's educating people on money is one of the first things I really try to do, is say understanding taxes, understanding whether you have to pay them or not, understanding how you can not have to pay them, understanding how you can bring income in and not have to report. So gold and silver is one of the biggest ways you can bring income in and not have to report, especially if you know what to buy. And there's certain gold and silver coins and rounds and whatever, however you buy them, that you'll never have to report if you sell, ever. No matter, even if you sell $50,000 worth in a day. But the same as goes for cryptocurrency right now. You do not have to report. I don't care if your tax form says, have you earned any income off of digital currency? Don't tell them, because there's no law that tells you that you have to. So skip that part of your tax form or just say no. But I mean, they could say, well, Erin, they could hear you on your video right now. Okay, I'd like to see them come after me legally and try to take my earnings. They don't know what I've earned. There's no way to even prove it. No way. There's no way to prove what I've earned, because a lot of my earnings is in crypto, not dollars. And then I can use that crypto in turn to purchase things. People think it's not a real currency. They think it's just digital like your bank. It's not digital like your bank, guys. There's a difference between blockchain technology and the digital currency. The difference is our banks, our banking system, and all of the World Wide Web was created to be hackable and monitored. So they can get in to your World Wide Web, email, anything. You can do proton mail, you can do counter mail, but they've got encryption keys to break into it, and anything can be hacked. But on blockchain technology, it is not hackable. It is a one-way transmission, and it can't. You can say, well, there's certain receipts, but I can send anonymously as a sender and receive anonymously. So it's unhackable, and it is not able to be monitored. Not the way people think. And so when people think that it's just some digital currency, it's not what the digital currency that people think. It is different. It is not what banks like. And yeah, maybe banks are trying to create their own digital currency, and you could say maybe that's how they brought it along, and so we'd all accept it and then be fine with it when they brought it into our banks. Fine. Well, I'm taking advantage of it right now, because you can't tell me it's the mark of the beast and then go and use those Illuminati dollars and tell me you're not part of it too. So
the whole money system is mark of the beast. But go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is, so I think if you want to get into cryptocurrency and be able to earn income from it, Shawn and I will help you with that. You need to email us. I think I've got it this time. vemusic1@gmail.com.
Yes,
I didn't have to ask.
Yes.
That's Shawn's email.
My woman.
And then ladyliberty@countermail.com. And I'll give you my personal phone number, and I can explain more of that over the phone if people want. But because Jared says, how do we seek advice on what to buy, what to sell? I have some crypto invested. Do you have a service or website? Email me and we'll talk about it. There's a lot of good crypto. I think crypto.com is good. Coinbase is well known and the most used, but they've got the highest fees. We've got our own cryptocurrency that's US based out of Wyoming that I'm invested into by about 10 grand. And I've already doubled that, a little bit more than doubled that. But I've also earned an income. Like I said, I'm not earning it in dollars unless I want to cash out to dollars, which I have. How else do you think I bought the bus? How else do you think I paid off my girls' private school with a check? Because I am able to cash to dollars if I want to. But that's how they can't keep track of it, because I don't have to cash out to dollars in my earnings if I don't want to. So email me, email Shawn, email us both, because we might even have different opinions as far as other cryptocurrencies. There's so many. But my biggest suggestion is don't get anything out of a country that doesn't have some authority. And I'm not talking about government authority. I'm talking about business authority. Because when these companies pop up and nobody, they're not held accountable for anything, they can take your money and run. So there's certain countries, as far as the business aspect side, the government's not controlling their crypto. They're monitoring their business aspect. So like we have the SEC in the United States. That's good for me when I'm going to work with a business, because they can't just take my money and run. They'll go to prison if they do that.
Right.
So there's certain countries you're going to want to not buy from, not because those countries are bad or the people are bad, but because no one's watching their business. And if they want to steal your money, no one's going to do anything about it. They're not going to go after them. They're not going to serve any jail time for stealing millions of dollars from people. So I think it's a good idea to buy crypto out of the U.S. Ours is out of Wyoming. It's called IMC iMoney Crypto. It is listed on Coinbase. It's on multiple exchanges now. So you can buy and sell it. You can trade it, whatever, for other crypto. It's being done all the time. In fact, there's some really analytical people in our business that are making sure they're able to do it. And they're doing it on a regular basis just to test it out and to try it out and to cash out and do all those things. So you're able to cash out to dollars or trade for other cryptos. But also, being in the U.S., where our crypto has its own exchange. If you look at cryptos like Binance and others like it, they've done really well because they have their own exchange and didn't have to be on other exchanges before they could already sell and trade. So that's good indication that our crypto will be higher value than the 42 cents it is today. It's also under $1. You can buy tokens under $1.
Yes.
I am not a financial advisor. I'm a professional healthcare advisor, whatever. But
a woman of many hats.
I'm not a financial advisor, but I do think that it has a potential. Our U.S. Wyoming crypto has a potential of going up to at least $40 a token, if not like Binance and go up to 400.
I've had friends of mine say, they're kicking themselves because they didn't get into Bitcoin when it was low like this, and now they're kicking themselves. And I'm saying the same thing. Well, you're going to be kicking yourself again. Here's an opportunity for you to get into it, and you won't be kicking yourself. Like you said, if it can go up to that amount, and when I got into it, it was like 30 cents, something like that. It's already up. I've only been in for about 6-7 months, and I'm excited about it. I can see it growing. And if you're one of those people that say they're kicking themselves because they didn't get into Bitcoin when it was just at this low of a price, then you're going to be kicking yourself again. So now's the time to get in.
Amen. Yeah. And by the way, gold and silver has been money for over 5,000 years. So it's not going to be dangerous to be carrying it, especially when SHT feet, whatever, when poop hits the fan. It's not going to happen the world over all at once. Poop has already hit the fan in places like Venezuela. Those people would take your gold and silver in a heartbeat, and they would get out of there, and they would use it. And they'd be able to get out of there because they gave them silver. It has been money for over 5,000 years. Yes, Tom, I am on Twitch. Let me open that up and share the link. I'm going live on Twitch at the same time as we're live here. Let me mute it. Oh, it is already muted. Okay. Here we go. There's my Twitch. But yeah, precious metals, when poop hits the fan and you don't have the internet, are going to be way more worthwhile than crypto. But until then, crypto has given me way more purchasing power than gold and silver was ever going to do in the short amount of time I've done it.
Definitely worth getting into if you have the opportunity. And it's very low investment, very low investment cost. If you want to get into it, you can get into it as much as you want, but it's pretty low investment, pretty small investment, I should say, a small investment.
Jeffrey mentions that stupid show Don't Look Up. Don't get me started on that horrendous movie. I mean, it was just nothing redeeming about it. It's just making fun of the truth community. It's making fun of right-wingers. It's pretending that the woke people are the one that's going to give the true message if something like that was going to happen, and the right-wingers are going to all put their blinders on and close their eyes, and the truthers are going to do the same thing and say, don't look up, while all the woke people are saying look up. The whole movie was just to mock everybody, really. But the fact that people love it shows it's working. The mockery is well deserved.
Well, this movie, I never heard of this movie, so how widely promoted was it?
Just everybody's talking about how great it is. It's on Netflix. It's some really big actors. Geez, I can't think of any of their names. Leonardo DiCaprio, the girl that was Mockingjay books. Lots of big name actors in it. Kate something or other. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The big name actors. It's about a comet that's coming to Earth, and nobody's taking it seriously. They're politicizing it, and they're making the woke people look like the smart ones that are going to try to warn everybody, and they're making the right wingers and truther community look like the idiots that are going to put blinders on and pretend it's not happening until they can't ignore it anymore. And you can see the comet in the sky, and it's coming for Earth. Well, first of all, we don't live on a globe. Space is fake, and asteroids aren't coming to kill us. So there's nothing realistic about this movie at all. Oh, but it really spoke to how the media and politicians politicize. Yeah, and you know what? They made the politicians look like right-wingers that were trying to politicize it. The joke's on you guys that loved this movie, because they were not trying to bring any truth to the table with this movie. Even people believed that the actors were forced to make this movie. to tell the truth. Shawn, what the heck is going on? I can't. I can't with these people.
Is that true? People believe that?
Yeah, that was one of the things I was told.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know that. I'm not going to watch it because you said it was terrible. So I don't think I'm going to be indulging in that movie. But if you guys want to learn more about like the shape of the earth, I do have a video on my channel where I show that how the news people themselves will show you and tell you that the earth does not spin. That's just one. I can go. I'm going to expand on that series. I'm starting off with showing you that the earth doesn't spin, and we're going to go into gravity, and we'll go into how gravity's fake, and we'll go into the actual shape of the earth as it being flat. We'll go into all of that. But the next part of this series will be about gravity, how gravity's fake. But just go on my website. I'm on my YouTube, and you'll see the video about how the earth does not spin and how they show you exactly how the earth does not spin right on your own TVs.
I'm going to find your YouTube and share the link because I don't have it pulled up. So keep talking.
Oh, hello.
Actually, it was the weatherman you were showing.
Yes, and the weather person will show you that the earth does not spin, and you'll see it. And I'll break it all down so you can see it. And while you're there, check out some of the music videos. Erin did a few music videos on there for me, and I have some other music videos that you guys should check out. But definitely check out those shows about the flat earth that I'm going to be having out. But the main one that I just started was about the earth not spinning.
Are we out of subjects? Because I think I'm out. I think we're out of, there's plenty of news out there to be talked about, but I think that's all that we had pulled up for today. And we could go on and on and on about this stuff. But yeah, we just want to remind people, live it as self-sufficient as you can. One of the best ways to start, if you haven't, is just buying some food, getting gold and silver. I believe you should get into crypto and we can help you. We can educate you on that if you want an education on it, and learning how to get clean water, and then maybe some solar power, stuff like that. But one little thing at a time. You don't got to do everything overnight. So there you go.
And then the main thing is, if you don't already have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, you should have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Read Romans 10:9. It tells you how you can get saved, how to get saved. Like I always tell everybody, I can't lead you in a magical prayer. I can't say this prayer with me. And if you say a prayer with somebody like that and you don't genuinely subscribe to it, or if you don't generally believe what you're saying, then you're not saved. So you can't just go by saying a prayer that somebody says, the sinner's prayer, or whatever they have out. What does the Bible say? How does the Bible tell you how to get saved? And that's how you get saved. When the Bible tells you in Romans 10:9 what you must do to get saved, that's what you do to get saved. When you speak with your mouth and believe in your heart that Jesus Christ is Lord and that he died on the cross, that God sent him down to here to die on the cross, and God rose him from the dead, and you speak it with your mouth, you believe in your heart, you shall be saved. That's Romans 10:9. I believe that right now it's the most important thing that we could do is to first and foremost get saved and get Jesus Christ in your life. And then you can have some peace in these times, and you can look towards Jesus, like it says in Luke 21:28. When you see these things begin to come, look up for redemption draweth nigh. You can look up and you can feel that peace. You won't have the anxiety. You won't have the fear. You won't have these things because you know that your redemption is coming. Jesus Christ is coming to get you, to take you away from this crazy world. As the world crumbles around us, you can stand firm on a solid rock of Jesus Christ.
Hallelujah. Amen.
Amen.
If you don't know Jesus, you're in trouble. Don't worry about what else is going to come. If you got to worry about your salvation first.
That's right.
And living in fear is no way to live.
That's a lot of the things that I get. A lot of questions I get, and people are worried. And what about this? And what if I take this snake bite? Am I going to this and this, that? Stop. If you're truly born again, read your Bible, have some peace, keep your eyes focused on the Lord.
Well, so since he has got that great mic drop moment there, do you want to close us out in prayer and we'll let everybody go on with their day?
Yes. Let's do that.
First, I want to thank everybody for coming out today and watching the show. We didn't even have much to talk about. We didn't drop a lot of links into our Discord to talk about this show, but we still wanted to come on because we care about each and every one of you. We love you guys, and we still wanted to come on and do a show. So there's going to be times we don't have a lot to talk about, but we'll figure it out. I always do stuff on a whim like this, and we always figure it out. But we want to be here for you guys to give you whatever we can give you. And if not, if we don't have any news, just to spread the word of Jesus Christ. And that's the most important thing. So let's bow our heads and we'll pray and get up out of here. Lord Jesus, thank you, Lord Jesus, once again for another day. Every day I pray to you, Lord, and I say these same things, but I truly mean it, that I thank you so much that you woke us all up this morning and you gave us the strength to go about our day. You give us the strength to do whatever that needs to be done. And Lord, I hope that what we do throughout the day will glorify you in every way, in everything that we do, that whether it be work or play, that we're doing it to glorify your name. I thank you, Lord Jesus, for everybody in the chat room, for bringing them in here today. I hope that they learn something, Lord. I hope that we are bringing them good information. I pray that it is good information. I pray that we can continue to reach out to people with this ministry, the way that we do. And I'm just so thankful that we have this platform to do it on, Lord. I thank you for all the platforms that we have, including YouTube, because we can still do it here, Lord. I know we have to censor ourselves a little bit, but you still give us this platform to do it, and let us continue to do it, Lord. Please, thank you so much for that. I want to thank you, Lord, for bringing Erin into my life, my wife, my rib, my Eve, Lord. I thank you so much for her. I thank you that we are together and that we can be together and be a shining light for couples. Maybe some couples can look up to us, Lord, and see how we live our lives, and that they can learn something from the way we live, glorifying you, Lord. I pray, Lord, that you continue to work through both of us so that we can be that light for other young couples that are trying to live right, Lord. I pray that we can continue to work with us and give us discernment and give us strength to go on and do your will. Just thank you so much for everything, Lord. And once again, thank you for everybody in the chat. I ask that you will bless everyone that came to listen to the show and watch the show. Just thank you so much, Lord Jesus. In your holy name I pray, amen.
Amen. Hallelujah. Thank you for the prayer. And with that, we'll close out with a song, and then we'll be back again on Tuesday. Probably be doing Solomon Report Saturday or Sunday. I'm seeing that maybe Sunday is better because it seems like we get more people to be able to watch on a Sunday live. So we like the live. We like the help that people bring with the comments. It is very useful. We appreciate it, and we love you guys. So with that, Shawn, I'll say peace to you and to all the people in the chat.
Be safe, y'all. God bless.
Peace.
Yo, can't y'all see what they doing here, man? I mean, how much more we gotta tell y'all and show y'all stuff, man? When y'all gonna wake up? If you ain't saved now, you better get saved right now. Solve a coagula, tear down and rebuild the whole system. Bible prophecy fulfilled. They speak loud, those with ears to hear can hear it. But I belong to Jesus Christ, so I don't fear it. It's written on the arms of the Baphomet. One of the gods they worship is new to some, you never heard it. The female-breasted male genital goat, pentagram forehead as above below. Moon symbol black and white, horns left and right. Been revealed to the world, hidden in plain sight. 3 fingers pointing up, 3 more pointing down. Hexagram satanic, the corona crown. Dollar bill being burnt to the ground until it's ash. Rebuild to the new way to pay with no cash. Corona germ money makes it move real fast. Blockchain digital currency is in the grass. Solve a coagula, tear down and rebuild the whole system. Bible prophecy fulfilled. They speak loud, those with ears to hear can hear it. But I belong to Jesus Christ, so I don't fear it. Solve a coagula, tear down and rebuild the whole system. Bible prophecy fulfilled. They speak loud, those with ears to hear can hear it. But I belong to Jesus Christ, so I don't fear it. At one point in your life, you could walk around, get
get your hair cut, go around and eat a meal downtown. Take your son to the park, just do what you do. Stay outside as long as you want, no curfew. Yeah, you can move around freely and shake hands. Nobody looking over your shoulder with demand. Open your business and sell without a mask. You try that today and you might get harassed. Stand 6 feet away, you're way too close. You interfere with my 5G digital ghost. Yeah, they're watching every move that I make. I can't take it, mind controlling us. The people don't play, I can't break it. So stay home, stay safe, and shelter in place. Don't listen, and they might call you a disgrace. Take this mark of the beast, become part of the race. Conform to the hive mind, the AI face.
Solve a coagula, tear down and rebuild the whole system. Bible prophecy fulfilled. They speak loud, those with ears to hear can hear it. But I belong to Jesus Christ, so I don't fear it. Solve a coagula, tear down and rebuild the whole system. Bible prophecy fulfilled. They speak loud, those with ears to hear can hear it. But I belong to Jesus Christ, so I don't fear it.
I remember when boys grew up to be men and girls dressed modestly way back then. And Pop went to work, Mom took care of the house. And if I talk real slick, I got slapped in the mouth. Dad was the role model, we looked up to him most. Mom taught us how to cook and how not to burn toast. Mom and Dad stayed together, they was there for me. Pop was always in charge, head of the family. But lately, things have gotten so out of whack. God's family structure was under attack. Yeah, the feminists moved to put Mom above Dad. Kids acting up, thinking it's cool to be bad. Men dressing like women, acting more feminine. Transgender kids being gay is good, no sin. Pedophilia on the ride, going down the wrong path. You burn it down, rebuild it, prepare for God's wrath.
Solve a coagula, tear down and rebuild the